Hi everyone, welcome to third Choreo Community Call. Today our topic is building microservices with Choreo. I am Tushar Sampath, a software engineer at WSO2 Choreo team. Let me walk you through our agenda today. So first we will discuss about microservices and microservice architecture. Then we will move on to how we can use Choreo to build and manage microservices. Then finally, I will do a live demonstration showcasing how you can leverage Choreo's capability to easily implement microservices and finally microservice architecture. And then finally, we will move on to Q&A session. So what is the microservices? Since this technology is well established in the industry for a long time, you will already know what microservices are. So microservices are an approach to software development and delivering where a single application is built as a collection of small units. These units are independently deployable and we can develop them independently. And each of these microservices are designed to perform a specific functionality or specific business logic. Then this microservice architecture simplify many things in software development lifecycle, including development, deployment, infrastructure management, scaling, and so on. But in real life, the number of microservices can go up to thousands or even more. So when the quantity increase, it introduces new set of challenges. So when the number of microservice increases, dealing with infrastructure management, deployment, testing, service coordination, and versioning becomes more complex and challenging. And we need to manage each individual microservice and handle interconnection between those services too. So what if we can harness the power of microservice architecture without worrying about disadvantages and overhead I mentioned in previous slide? So that is where the Choreo comes into the picture. So Choreo acts as your internal developer platform as a service. Choreo sits between your source code and the end production application and handling all the burdens intermediate for you so that you can solely focus on developing business logic and your end user requirements. So in Choreo, you can create microservices by providing your source code. And after that, using Choreo features, you can build, deploy, and manage microservices following best practices. And after that, after you create microservices, you can interconnect them using Choreo features to develop your microservice architecture. But that's not all. Choreo offers more value-added features such as infrastructure management, advanced platform engineering, security and access control, API management, and observability tool. So that you can focus on developing your business logic. So before the demo, let me introduce you few Choreo concepts. In Choreo, you have organizations, projects, and components. Single organization can have multiple projects. These projects represent internal teams or domain boundaries. Then components represent microservices, APIs, tasks, and so on. So in our case, in today's use case, these components will be microservices. And then this is the anatomy of a Choreo project. You can have any number of components in a Choreo project, and one component can have one of three access level: public or inter organization or inter project. So when we need to communicate with the component via the internet, we can use public level access. Then if you want to access and component within the organization, you can set access level of a component to inter-org level. And then finally, if you want access to a component only within the project, you can use inter-project level access. Okay, let's move on to the demonstration. So before that, let me explain the use case of today's demonstration. So today use case is an customer reward management system. And as an overview, users can use web application to redeem rewards from their preferred vendors, and then when vendors confirm their redeems, users can view their confirmed reward in the same web application. So this system has 7 microservices in total, and they are categorized into 3 different domains, 3 different uh, internal teams. So in Choreo, we can map these domains to projects so that we have 3 Choreo projects: reward management, vendor management, and loyalty management. And also, please note that except web application, all of other 6 microservices are API services. But in other use cases, microservices can be API, task, or event handler, or any other component type. So let me walk you through the project vendor management project. So vendor management project has 2 microservices. One is reward confirmation webhook, and the other one is vendor management API. In our case, we need to access reward confirmation webhook from external vendors. So that external vendors can send confirmation request into the system, so that this reward confirmation webhook has public level access. Then vendor management API have inter-org level access, so that so we can make sure only components, only services inside the organization can access the vendor management API. Then in loyalty management system project, it has 3 microservices, and loyalty management API and data store API has inter-org level access, because we only need to access them within the organization. And then finally, we have a QR code generator in this loyalty management project, and it has private level access because only loyalty management need to access this QR code generator API. And finally, we have reward management project. This project have 2 microservices and web application reward API. Users use this web application to access the system, so that they use internet to access reward management API, so that reward management API has public level access. So in addition to this, please note that we use WSO2 Choreo as the identity provider in this web application, and in your use case, you can use any preferred identity providers in the market. So okay, so to save some time, I already set up vendor management and loyalty management in Choreo. So let's head on to Choreo and create reward management API. So this is Choreo console. As you can see, I have reward management project, vendor management project, and loyalty management project already set up. So let's go into reward management project. This is reward management project. As you can see, the reward management web app is already created. So we going to create reward management API. So let's hit create. And now in Choreo, you can create web applications, API proxies, webhooks, task, event handlers, or test components. So in this case, since the reward management API is a service, API service, we are going to use a service component template. Okay. In here, let's give it a name. API, and you can see Choreo can use a GitHub, Bitbucket, or container registry to connect source codes. In our case, this reward management API source code is in our Choreo sample GitHub repository. For your information, let me show that repository as well. This is Choreo samples GitHub repository. In this repository, you have many use cases as samples in many languages and many tech stack so that you can try out them in Choreo with this. So let's connect to GitHub and connect to Choreo samples. So Choreo will select our main branch automatically. Since this reward management API is written in Ballerina, we need to select Ballerina build pack. So, okay, let's select that. And then since this repository has many files, we need to point that this reward management API directory. So let's go here, connect reward management and reward management frontend, and this is the project. So let's hit continue. Okay, okay, now we can create the component. So while this is being creating, this will take few minutes. So I'll explain what Choreo does in when creating a component. It saves your data you entered in the creation step, and then create in CI/CD pipeline, then create GitOps repository for your component, and finally, since this is a Ballerina project, Choreo generate open API specs so that you can test these component after you deploy that, and initialize the components for you. Let's wait a few seconds. Yeah, it's completed. So we are good to go. As you can see, we don't have any deployment yet. So let's go to deploy page here. Here you can deploy your components to two different environments. First, you can deploy to development environment, then test the component, and if everything is okay, you can push that deployment to production. So let's click configure and deploy button. So yeah, so as you can see, Choreo asks for configuration. So you may wonder how how Choreo identify these configurations. So let me explain about that. So when we write application in Ballerina, Choreo can read those applications inside. So let me go to this code and show you. This Ballerina code has configurable variables like this. So what Choreo does is it read this code and identify those configurables and then ask us to enter those configurables. So only you need to do is provide values for this. So as I said before, I use Asgardio to set up the identity provider for this application. So token issuer and JWCase endpoint is from Asgardio. You can find them in Asgardio documentation. So let's put this. Okay. So now it asks for client ID, client secret, and token URL. So where we can find those values. So let me explain that. For that, we need to go to Choreo developer portal. Okay, to go to Choreo developer portal, you only need to click this developer portal icon. So Choreo developer portal is where all developers in your organization can discover, try out, and consume APIs. So when you publish an API from console, you can see them in here. So let's go to APIs. As you can see, I have published loyalty management API in our architecture and other required API to for your developer portal so that we can use them and consume them. So to use these APIs in a web application, we need to create an application. So this application represents our web application. So that if we connect this application to our web application, we can access those APIs using these credentials. So let's go to production and get consume key and consume secret and finally token URL. So the next thing is we need loyalty API URL and vendor management API URL. So we can find those URLs in developer portal too. So in this application, if we need to use those APIs, we need to subscribe them. So I already subscribed to vendor management and reward vendor management and loyalty management APIs. So we can go to vendor management API. And since we are going to deploy this to development environment, let's grab development endpoint or development URL. Okay, then we need vendor management API. So, sorry, this is vendor management API. And then let's go to loyalty management API and copy the URL and paste it here. So I think we're good to go. Let's click next. Okay, in the next step, we need to configure the endpoint, or in our case, the network visibility. As I described before, Choreo component can have 3 levels of network visibility: project, organization, or public. So this is the place we configure that network visibility. Since reward management API need to be able to access via the internet, let's click public. Click update and we are ready to deploy. So let's click deploy. Okay. While it's deploying, let me explain what Choreo does in the background. So since this is a ballerina project, it builds the project and then it create an container image within using those build file and then push that Docker image to a containers registry. Then after applying those configuration we had in previous steps, it deploy that image to an data plane and then finally deploy the application. Let's give a few seconds to deploy that application so that we can use it. Okay. While it's deploying, let me explain about this auto deploy on commit button. So when we enable this in Choreo, if you push some changes into your connected repository, Choreo will automatically build and deploy that changes into your development environment. Okay, now it's deployed. As a best practice, let's go and test it. So Choreo have 3 options to test your APIs. Now I'm going to use integrated console. So Let's go here. Let's try this get rewards resource. Click try out and execute. Okay, now since we just deploy the application, it's not ready yet. Let's try again. Okay, now we are good to go. Like it returned rewards array. So I think the deployment is successful. So then since we tested, we can promote this product development deployment into the production. But in real life, you need to test all resources to verify that the deployment, the application you just deployed is working perfectly. So for the demonstration, let's promote this. When promoting, Choreo asks whether we need to use default configurations or whether we need to use development configurations. So I choose use development configurations because most of the configuration we entered in development environments will be same for production environment. So in that case, you can use development configuration. If you choose default configuration, Choreo will read the ballerina code, and if there is any default configuration in the code you provided, Choreo will add those configuration. Then let's hit next, and Choreo will copy development environment configuration and let us edit anything we want. Okay, cool. So we need to change loyalty API URL and vendor management API URL because we use deployment URLs for development URLs for last deployment. So let's head back to developer portal. Let's get production URL, copy that out, and let's paste here. Okay, for vendor management URL, let's do the same. Let's go APIs, vendor management API. Let's select production and copy. Cool. So let's paste here and click next. And again, we can configure endpoints, but since we deployed public endpoint into development, this is already public, so we don't need to change anything. Let's click promote. So within seconds, it deployed to production environment. So as a best practice, let's test again. Okay, let's wait until it's done. Okay, let's go to test console. Select production environment. Okay, then let's try it out. Cool. It's working as expected. So now we are ready to move, ready to go. So before I publish into Dev portal, I need to do one thing. So in manage tab, you can manage your APIs. You can manage your API lifecycle, and you can edit settings in your API, edit security settings and visibility settings, and so on. So for our use case, we need to enable these course configurations for reward management API. Let's go edit and edit and access call. And also we need to enable fast security context to backend. Let me explain why do we need that. So in our architecture, we need to pass security context from web browser to uh, vendor management and loyalty management API so that they can verify those requests. So let's enable that and click save. So we can add any text you want to apply these changes, and click apply. So now we can publish this API to the developer portal. So let's click publish. So with one click, you can publish. Then let's go back to developer portal and check whether we have that API available here. So as you can see, reward management API is here. So we need to use this API in our web application. So to use this API in our web application, we need to subscribe to that API in the developer portal. So for that, let's go into already created application and go to subscriptions. And let's add that newly created reward management API to our subscription list. Let's click add. Okay. Okay. Okay, it's there. So we are ready to connect this API to our web application. Okay. Let's go to our console web application project. Cool. So I'm not going to explain more about web application because we did an community call on web application before, so that if you want to learn more about web applications, you can watch that previous community call, the second community call, and learn more about web application and how you can use Choreo to manage, deploy web applications. So let's go to deploy. As you can see, I already created, built, and deployed this our web application to development area environment so that we can save some time. Okay, now let's promote this. So when promoting, it again asks for whether we need to use default configurations or development configuration. Let's choose development configuration and click next. And here we can edit configurations. So for redirect URL, let's keep that empty for now, and asgard your client ID and base URL would be same for production environment as well. And for API URL, let's go back to this and grab production API URL for reward management API. Let's get this. Here. So let's click promote. Okay, so this is our web application URL. So since we keep the redirect URL empty, we need to add this web URL to that. For that, in Choreo, you can manage configuration easily. So click manage and configuration secrets. Here you can see list of configuration files you have for your components. I have one config map. Let's go and edit that and add this to here. So okay, let's click save. Okay, and we need to add those configuration, add those URL as a redirect URL in developer portal and Escardio. Okay, go to production, advanced configurations. Let's add it here. Cool. And since we are using Escardio as the identity provider, we need to add this redirect URL to Escardio application as well. So go here, protocols. Let's add that URL. Oh, it's already there. Since we add this to developer portal, it's already there, so we don't need to do anything. So hopefully that should be it. So let's give it a try. It's not logged in yet. Let's wait until it's logged in. Cool. As you can see, I'm logged into this application. This is the web application of our system. If you go back to here, our architecture, this is the web application and we are using it in the web browser. So it communicate with reward management API, and via that we communicate with vendor management and loyalty management API. This this credit card data and these amounts comes from this database via loyalty management API. Then let's go to redeem rewards. And these are available redeems for now. Let's click redeem Starbucks reward, click agree and click redeem. So what this does is web browser send redeem request to reward management API, then reward management API send a reward request to vendor management API. Then vendor management API send reward confirmation from this external vendor partners. Then when external partners, external vendors accept that redeem request, it sends a callback to this webhook. And from there, if the confirmation is successful, it stores that reward data against the user loyalty data in the database so that we can see this confirm reward tab. Okay, so now that's our use case. And additionally, let's go back to console and let me show you around. Okay, uh, let's go back to reward management API service, because there's many functions I can show you in Choreo. So first, we have three type of testing in Choreo. We already saw that Choreo console, and then we have AI API chat to test your APIs. Let's give it a try. Okay, let's ask. Let's see whether it can do this task for us. Okay, take some time. Okay, it successfully identify our request and execute the rewards resource and get us the result back. So great. So in addition to that, you can manage your APIs, and then you can view your components in observability view. Since this is a ballerina project, you can use ballerina project diagram and logs for these components. And also you can use network and CPU usage and memory usage for your components. And in Choreo, you have this runtime log feature where you can filter and see real-time logs for your components like this. And this is an handy method when you need to debug your components. And also we have advanced DevOps features where you can see your running instances. For this reward management API, we have 2 running instances. Then here you can edit advanced container settings, and also we previously saw that we can manage configurations. Okay, so let's go to the project level and I'll show you what we can do in project level. So my favorite feature in Choreo project level is observability. So here, let's go to loyalty management project. So here, as you can see, we have cell architecture automatically generated from by Choreo. So we have our QR code generator, loyalty management, and data store API. When we hover over this connection, you can see insights on that connection, and you can see accumulated logs in here, so that you can view all components logs accumulated here. So then you have lots of insights. You can see API insights and delivery insights here, and matrices, business insights, and so on. And then in component page, let's create and try sample. This is where you can find many samples, so that you can pick one of them and try them out in Choreo. All you need to do is search here, or you can use these filters to filter out any sample. So when you got your preferred sample, you can click it in here, and it will redirect to the particular directory in our samples demo, and you can use them in Choreo with this. So okay, that's bring us to the end of our session. Before that, let me quickly recap what we discussed in today's session. First, we discuss about microservices, their benefits and drawbacks, and then we look into how Choreo can simplify deployment, management, monitoring, and observing microservices, among other capabilities of Choreo. Finally, in our use case, we have seen how Choreo streamlined the adaptation of microservice architecture in your organization. And I hope you again good insight in microservice and how you can use Choreo to make your development journey smoother and efficient. So now it's time to questions, so that you can ask any questions in YouTube chat. Okay. Let's wait a few seconds, and okay. Since there is no questions, we can wrap this up. You can always reach us via our channels, Discord and Twitter. You can find those links in description below. And thank you for joining us today. So give it Choreo a try and let us know your experience. So have a nice day. Thank you.